This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Monday, the 17th day of August in the year 2020. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here is what we're tracking tonight. The APNU AFC coalition has reportedly finalized its list of candidates to be sworn in as members of parliament, and a slew of fresh faces is dominating the list. Among the new faces that have been put forward by APNU AFC leader David Granger are attorneys Roysdale Ford, Gita Edmonds, and Amanza Walton. Ganesh Mahipal, Sherrod Duncan, Devin Sears, Charita Fernandes, Vincent Henry, and Ronald Cox will also be on the list. GTU General Secretary Coretta MacDonald and Vince Roy Jordan are also expected to be among the new faces. The former president David Granger will not be returning to Parliament, although he is the leader of the largest party in the coalition, the People's National Congress. The PNC's chairperson, Valda Lawrence, will also not be going to Parliament, and the party's General Secretary, Amna Ali, is also absent from the parliamentary list. Former PNC Chairman Basil Williams and former PNC General Secretary Aubrey Norton are also absent from the list. This will mark the first time in the history of the PNC that its top leadership will be absent from the National Assembly. Recently co-opted executive member Joe Harmon, along with former ministers Nicolette Henry, Dawn Hastings-Williams, Dr. Karen Cummings, Annette Ferguson, Raphael Trotman, Kemraj Ramjatan, David Patterson, Hemraj Rajkumar, and Kathy Hughes are on the list and will likely be frontbenchers on the opposition side of Parliament. The former Director of Sport Christopher Jones and Region 10 Representative Jermaine Figuera and former Minister and WPA Representative Tabitha Sarabel Halley are among the other names on the APNU AFC's list for the National Assembly. A number of senior members of the PNC and the other parties in the APNU are absent from the list for Parliament. During a recent meeting with the executives, the PNC leader and chairman of the APNU, David Granger, made it clear that the other parties in the APNU needed to approve their membership of 7,000 persons to be guaranteed a seat in Parliament. News Source understands that during a meeting today at Congress Place, Mr. Granger told his executive that he will be spending the rest of his political life focused on building support for the People's National Congress. He also made it clear that those who will take the oath as members of Parliament and regional councillors must put service before themselves and be prepared to fully serve the people of Guyana. Granger also encouraged those who will be heading to Parliament to ensure they use their parliamentary clout to the benefit of the people that they will be representing. The full list of the APNU AFC's candidates for Parliament and the regional councils are to be presented to the Guyana Elections Commission later this week. More news coming up in a moment.
Spend $3,000 in fuel at Falls Gas Station between August 3rd and September 30th and get a chance to win over 100 weekly prizes, or $3,000 in our recently renovated supermarket and you can win weekly prizes and one of 2 great food hampers in our summer promotion. At Falls, we provide a safe environment for you to shop, and you can choose from a wide range of products at unbeatable prices too, along with excellent service, of course. So shop now at Falls and make this a summer to remember.
Hello, my name is Clyde De Haas, and I am the Managing Director of Unicomer Guyana Inc. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted us all, but I promise you, we will get through it together. Shopping in this new environment could be daunting, however, we have fine-tuned our protocols to ensure we have a safe and comfortable environment for our staff and customers. Our store teams are observing the 6-20-100 protocol, that is 6 feet social distancing, washing hands for 20 seconds, and ensuring every day their body temperatures are below 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Additionally, all staff and customers are required to wear face masks when inside our stores. We are sanitizing all frequently touched areas, including door handles and counters, several times a day. Our service technicians and delivery team members will utilize full PPE when visiting your home. All these measures are to ensure we minimize any risks to you or to our staff. You can also shop with us via telesales or online at shopcoach.com. We are well prepared and ready to help you find the products you need in the safest way possible.
GBTI is your Guyanese bank, a bank that understands every customer's unique needs, opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. At GBTI, we see you for you. Whether you're buying a new home or car, planning your next vacation or retirement, saving for your child's future, or whether you're ready to take that bold step of investing in your dream business idea, we are with you every step of the way. We hear your stories and watch you focus on your dreams as we share your aspirations. We are more than just banking. We are a family. We are part of your community. Our commitment extends way beyond the walls of our branches and is demonstrated every day in the opportunities we provide to our individual and business customers. The support, time, and commitment we give back to communities across Guyana to help improve the lives of our Guyanese families. Because we see Guyana through your eyes.
Welcome back. Several Guyanese diplomats in Guyana and abroad have expressed concern and worry about a statement issued by the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Michael Kozak, which appears to point to a changing of Guyana's position on the internal affairs in Venezuela. In a tweet by Mr. Kozak over the weekend, which was shared by the U.S. Embassy, he wrote that it's great to see Guyana add its voice for the call to restore democracy in Venezuela. The tweet added that the U.S. encourages all democratic countries to commit to helping the Venezuelan people achieve a peaceful, prosperous, and democratic future. The U.S. Embassy on its Facebook page, highlighting the same tweet, added that Guyana joins many democratic countries in support of democratic change in Venezuela. The post was linked to a joint declaration of support for democratic change in Venezuela. But several diplomats familiar with Guyana's position over the years not to become involved in the internal affairs of Venezuela have expressed surprise that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has still not issued any statement on a change of position on Venezuela or clarification on the U.S. statement. A senior diplomat told news source that Guyana must be clear in its position and not allow itself to be guided by the position of the U.S. or any other country. Guyana's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Hugh Todd, met last week with the U.S. Ambassador to Guyana, Sarah Ann Lynch. The issue of Venezuela came up in the meeting. The U.S. Ambassador reportedly questioned the new foreign minister about whether the new Guyana government was going to recognize the Venezuelan opposition leader, Juan Guaido, as the president of Venezuela. Ambassador Lynch, according to government sources, was told by the foreign minister that the position of the new government is that it recognizes the will of the people of Venezuela. The issue of the Lima Group's declaration gaining support from Guyana was also discussed, but a senior government official explained that no clear undertaking was provided. The U.S. and a number of other Western countries have been pushing to topple the Nicolas Maduro regime in Venezuela and replace him officially with the country's opposition leader. While the U.S. recognizes Guaido as the president, Guyana's position has been to recognize Maduro as the president and not involve itself in the internal political situation in Venezuela. The number of coronavirus cases in the country continues to climb significantly. Over the weekend, 60 new cases were recorded, as the Health Ministry also reported on another death. The total number of deaths now stands at 23. The total number of cases recorded in Guyana since the first case back in March has now jumped to over 700. Of the 60 new cases recorded over the weekend, Region 4 accounts for 22 of those new cases, while Region 7 accounts for 18 of the new cases. The Ministry of Health is trying to get more testing done, but is also reducing the number of persons in institutionalized quarantine by following the new WHO guidelines and releasing patients with no symptoms after they would have tested negative twice for COVID-19 after 10 days. The Health Ministry is also trying to do more contact tracing, especially in the interior regions, where citizens continue to not follow guidelines. The government has lifted the restrictions on mining in regions 7, 8, and 9, although the number of coronavirus cases in those regions continue to rise. In the updated gazetted order, while imposing travel restrictions on the same 3 regions, the government announced that mining will be permitted, but under strict adherence to the COVID-19 guidelines. It was back in July that the previous government instituted restrictions on mining in the interior locations as the numbers climbed. The COVID-19 numbers have been climbing steadily, and Region 7 now has more than 160 cases, with a large number of those cases being in the mining area of Aranca. While the curfew in other regions will now be from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., the curfew in Regions 7, 8, and 9 will remain between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Additionally, there is now expected to be stricter monitoring of the mining areas. There have been calls for a total closure of mining activities in the interior regions, but gold miners and their associations have indicated their opposition to those calls. Well, Vice President Bara Jagdeo has announced that the new PPP civic government has instituted an appeal policy that will allow persons who believe they were unfairly dismissed by the current or former government to appeal those dismissals directly to the President or the Vice President himself. The new government has been accused of witch-hunting government workers other than political appointees. Some government workers have been told that they were being terminated, although they are not known members of any political party and were not political appointees. But during a press conference on Friday, the Vice President made it clear that the policy will not cover political appointees, but he admitted that there might be other persons who would have gotten caught up in the dismissals over the past 2 weeks.
The President has informed me up to this morning that he wants an appeal mechanism to be available for people who may have been removed unfairly because there may be a feeling that they're political. They have an appeal to him so that he can review it.
Jagdeo said his government does not want to be accused of any witch hunt, and therefore it intends to provide the mechanism that would allow the appeal by those who believe they were unfairly dismissed. The Guyana Police Force today announced that Deputy Police Commissioner Paul Williams will be proceeding on 192 days of annualized vacation leave with effect from today. Williams was promoted to Deputy Commissioner under President David Granger and at one time was seen as a future police commissioner. He also served as crime chief while he was an assistant commissioner of police. The decision to ask Williams to proceed on leave comes just 2 days after new Minister of Home Affairs Robeson Ben met with the top brass of the Guyana Police Force and outlined the government's vision for the force and its expectations of the force. At age 52, Deputy Commissioner Williams is 3 years away from retirement. So while his annualized leave will take him into the new year, he will likely return to duty next year, but given new responsibilities in the force. Since the new government took office 2 weeks ago, the Guyana Police Force has also changed around a number of commanders for the various police divisions. Let's tell you now that former government minister Simona Brooms and her bodyguard Dexter Austin appeared in court today facing a number of charges following a confrontation with a PPP Civic City Councillor. In court today, Ms. Brooms and Mr. Austin appeared before Magistrate Lerone Daly to face allegations of threatening language, causing bodily harm and obstructing a person to go in the area they want to go, among other charges. Both Brooms and Austin pleaded not guilty to the charges and were released on self-bail. The matter is set to continue on the 31st of August. The two are accused of using threatening language against PPP Councillor Dion Young after he was caught with signs that he had removed from in front of the former minister's property. Brooms was charged with causing bodily harm to Young, who claimed that he was hit by her. And the police also filed a discharging a loaded firearm charge against the bodyguard, although no spent shells were found in the area it is claimed he discharged the firearm. It was a day after the swearing in of the new government that Young and another man turned up in front of the home of Brooms, removing signs from an area she maintains for her neighborhood. Brooms and the bodyguard gave chase behind the men, and that chase ended in the Sophia area where the men emerged from their car with the broken signs and were surrounded by residents. Brooms and Austin are being represented by attorney at law Nigel Hughes. Well, 12 Cubans and 3 Haitians were today ordered deported after pleading guilty to illegally entering Guyana. The 15 foreigners stood before Magistrate Alex Moore via Skype and opted to not waste the court's time, deciding to enter a guilty plea. They were all fined $20,000 each and ordered deported to their homeland. When the matter was called today via Skype, it was noted that the 15 foreigners entered Guyana through an illegal crossing from Suriname at Springlands in Berbice. They were nabbed several days later in a minibus heading to the town of Lethem. Police checks revealed that they had never presented themselves to an immigration officer. They told the police that they were on their way to Brazil to seek refugee status. They reportedly met a Guyanese man in Berbice who offered to get them to Brazil at a cost of $2,000. But they were only brought to Georgetown and had to find their own way to Latam. They will remain in custody until the deportations. Across the Region is coming up next.
Spend $3,000 in fuel at Falls Gas Station between August 3rd and September 30th and get a chance to win over 100 weekly prizes or $3,000 in our recently renovated supermarket, and you can win weekly prizes and one of 2 great food hampers in our summer promotion. At Falls, we provide a safe environment for you to shop, and you can choose from a wide range of products at unbeatable prices too, along with excellent service, of course. So shop now at Falls and make this a summer to remember.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right. Walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong. Be the one to live right.
They've made a positive impact on the heavy-duty transportation industry in Guyana since they've arrived. Guyanese are amazed at their power, durability, efficiency, and superior handling capabilities. These are brand new trucks, manufactured in partnership with German, Italian, and French companies. They have a powerful reputation for operating under very adverse Guyanese conditions and come with full after-sales service and spare parts. They're the most sought-after trucks today, with over 500 units in Guyana, and they're available in over 100 countries, including South America and the Caribbean. Be smart. Buy brand new ST Howo trucks today. Call 608-4998 and arrange for an inspection at ST Truck Guyana Incorporated, Block B, Public Road, Covenant, East Bank, Demerara.
We give thanks for real. You spend all that money on your watch. How much time you spend with your son? So much money in the club. How much you spend with the ones you love? The simple things are your blessings.
Cheese, please. Remember Tyrus Riley, this one we aim to please. The music will never ease. Cheese, please.
Across the region right now, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves of St. Vincent has described as hilarious the recent travel advisory issued by the U.S., telling its citizens to avoid non-essential travel to CARICOM countries, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Speaking on the state-owned NBC radio, Gonsalves also noted that the bulletin also advises against travel to Barbados, St. Lucia, Grenada, and all the countries which are doing quite well. The Prime Minister made a comment after noting the impact of COVID-19 on St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which as of Saturday had recorded 57 cases of the viral infection. 55 of those persons have recovered. He told radio listeners that there have been no COVID-19 related deaths in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He contrasted that to the US, which took 99 days to reach its first million cases and another 16 days to record 4 million cases. The U.S. administration has suspended all private charter flights between the U.S. and Cuba to increase economic pressure on Havana. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo tweeted that the Castro regime uses tourism and travel funds to finance its abuses and interference in Venezuela. Last October, the U.S. banned regular scheduled flights to all cities in the communist-run Cuba except Havana. Tourism to Cuba has already been hit hard by the coronavirus pandemic. Hardline policies towards Cuba and its regional ally Venezuela are welcomed by the conservative Cuban-American groups in Florida, a key battleground state which Donald Trump hopes to win in the November presidential election. The suspension of charter flights comes into force on the 13th of October. And finally tonight, international news. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has been heckled by workers on a visit to a factory as anger mounts over his disputed re-election. Workers chanted "Leave" and booed the longtime leader of the ex-Soviet state, as he insisted he would not allow a new vote after allegations of ballot fraud. Strike action spread to state TV with staff walking out earlier today. The opposition candidate has suggested that she could act as an interim leader. Police violence towards opposition supporters as well as the alleged poll rigging in the 9th of August vote fueled a big protest rally in the capital on Sunday. Mr. Lukashenko has led Belarus since 1994, maintaining close relations with neighboring Russia, on which Belarus heavily relies for energy supplies. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting.